Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. It has been the last time since I made an election prediction between Donald Trump and Joe Biden was April 20th of this year. So it's been almost 2 months. So that calls for a new election prediction. We're almost 2 weeks out from the first presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. This will be the earliest presidential debate televised in American history. Previously, debates have been done by the Commission on Presidential Debates. However, this time around, Donald Trump and Joe Biden both agreed that the commission was not to do the debates, and the first debate will be done with CNN. The second debate, I believe, will be done with NBC. Right now, they've agreed to two debates. We do not know if there will be any more, but of course, that is all subject to change. The second debate will happen in September, but now we have this debate in late June, and I think in large part because of the fact that early voting starts in many states in September. So it gives people at home who plan on watching the debate plenty of time to watch the debate, look at the candidates. If they're still undecided as to whether or not they plan on supporting Trump or Biden, plenty of time to watch this debate and come up with their own opinions. Giving some more context, right now, Donald Trump is in the best position, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of many election analyzers out there, to win the presidency in his entire political career. Donald Trump is leading in all of the states that he needs to win in the polling and more. Donald Trump is set to flip a lot of the states that Joe Biden flipped back in 2020. Trump is expected to win them again or win them back in 2024, states that he won in 2016. Um, Compared to the national polling, Donald Trump is leading in the popular vote in the national polling. He's been leading in the popular vote since around September of last year. Previously, when Donald Trump went head to head in the polling against Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, it was nowhere close to Donald Trump having any close shot at winning the popular vote. Both Biden and Clinton led comfortably both elections in the popular vote. So Donald Trump right now in a very, very good position in my mind to win, I guess what you would say, re-election compared to where he was previously. Um, in addition, Donald Trump has outraised Joe Biden. Now, previously, there was a raising deficit where Biden was raising a lot of money with donors. He had that big event in New York City with Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, where they raised over $25 million in one night. Following Donald Trump's conviction in New York, he has energized a large part of his base. I believe the average small dollar donation was around $72. And according to his campaign, he's raised over $400 million since his conviction. He has the funding, he now has the popularity in the polls. He's in a very good position to win. With all of that being said, do not count Joe Biden out of this election. This is still going to be a close election in the margins when it comes down to the states. Now, the Electoral College may not be super close, but when you look at those states in margins in each state, in those battleground states, it will be a close election, as have all of the previous elections have been probably since around 2008. Even Obama versus Romney, I would argue, was a relatively close election. With all that being said, let's get into this election prediction. We're going to start off with allocating the safe Joe Biden states. So, state of Washington is going to be a safe Joe Biden state. I know we've seen some odd polling out of the state of Washington previously. However, we're going to take this seriously and we're going to say Washington will remain a safe Biden state, as well as California and a lot of these states. Some people, hopeful Republicans, like to say Hawaii, because of the fact that the Biden's administration's response to the hurricane would go possibly, likely, the margin will narrow. Right now, that likely will not happen. DC, of course, the most Democratic area in the nation. New Jersey as well. I know you see polls where Biden only leads by 7 points in New Jersey. If more polls come out as we get closer to the election that have, sorry, not New Hampshire yet, at least. If more polls come out as we get closer to the election that show it as a tighter race in New Jersey, it could possibly go into that likely category. But right now, it's a safe state, as well as the state of New York, where polls have shown Biden is only up by single digits in the state of New York. But we're going to have to wait until it gets close to the election. Right now, I'm going to say New York will remain a safe Democrat state. I know Trump held a very big Bronx rally in New York and a very big rally in New Jersey, but I'd like to see more data out of those areas, and I'm not confident to characterize them yet, simply because of their historical um, precedent and the fact that they've gone Democrat by over 20 points in almost every single election since Ronald Reagan. I believe New York hasn't gone red since Ronald Reagan, or maybe George H.W. Bush, but likely Ronald Reagan. Anyway, those are the safe Biden states. Oh, forgot. Colorado will be a safe Biden state this time around. That gets him to 191. Safe Trump states. As I said, I'm not going to be super concerned about those specific margins. So even though Alaska barely went to Donald Trump by double digits, I'm going to consider that a safe Trump state, as well as a lot of these areas in Nebraska. Nebraska's at large. Second congressional district, of course, a very different story. And usually, when you add up all of the safe Trump states, you get to 125 electoral votes. So right now, Joe Biden has a slight advantage, 191 to 125 electoral votes. Let's head into our likely Biden states. The first likely Biden state is going to be the state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire, in my mind, will go to Joe Biden by a likely margin. He's very popular over there. We saw the primary in New Hampshire between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley, where it was actually very close. Donald Trump still won that primary, I believe, but Nikki Haley got around 45% of the vote there. A lot of Republicans in the state of New Hampshire do not like Donald Trump. They prefer, I guess, more moderate candidates, like somebody like Nikki Haley or the governor of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu. Right now, New Hampshire, in my mind, will go in favor of Joe Biden. Another likely Democrat state is the state of New Mexico. We haven't, and I would like to see some polling data out of the state of New Mexico in upcoming, but we really haven't seen anything out of that. So I'm not ready to put that into the lean category. I know a lot of Republicans think that it's definitely in play, given a lot of the Hispanic trending shifts and the fact that New Mexico is a heavily Hispanic state. Although cities in Albuquerque kind of decide, the white population has the majority there still, but it's still heavily Hispanic in New Mexico. We haven't seen much polling data out of New Mexico, so I'm going to leave it as a likely state. I don't think it will be safe, but it's still going to be pretty solid in Joe Biden's column. That's going to be it for the likely Biden states. I don't really, a lot of people may be upset that I'm not characterizing Virginia, but we have seen some polls out of Virginia, and I'm going to wait to characterize that state. Likely Trump states, that's the state of Texas. This will be the state of Florida. I know we've seen some polls in Florida that show that race narrowing up a little bit. I still believe that at the end of the day, Trump will win Florida by over 5 points, and that's the likely characterization in my mind. Is if it's over 5 points, then it's a likely state. As well as the state of Iowa, as well as the state of Ohio. All of these 4 states will be likely in favor of Donald Trump, as well as Maine's 2nd congressional district. That gets Trump to 219 electoral votes. He's now taken the lead in the Electoral College against Joe Biden, 219 to 200 electoral votes. Let's go to our lean Biden states. Lean Biden is going to be the state of Virginia. Right now, we've seen 2 polls out of the state of Virginia, 2 shocking polls. One by Fox News, and I believe another one by Roanoke College that has it as a dead heat, a tie in the state of Virginia. Roanoke has it as a tie. In 2020, Roanoke had Joe Biden winning Virginia by 11 points. Joe Biden ended up winning Virginia by 9.5 points in 2020. So a pretty accurate pollster. If that pollster continues its accuracy, as well as Fox News, which actually tends to overestimate Democrats typically in elections, the state of Virginia is certainly going to be closer than it previously was, especially in 2020, where it went to Biden by over 9.5. And it could go in favor of Biden below that 5-point margin. I wouldn't be surprised. You have Glenn Youngkin, who said he's going to campaign for Donald Trump, who said he's going to go out, and he says that he believes Virginia is winnable. Now, obviously, that makes sense. He's saying that he's the governor of the state. He's a Republican. But I believe with Youngkin's support, Trump could also surge there as well. I don't think Trump's going to win Virginia at this point in time, but it will be more competitive, in my opinion, this time around than it was in 2020. Another lean Biden state will be the state of Minnesota. Right now, Minnesota has shown polling showing that it's closer than it will be in 2020. Biden won it by over 7 points, about 7.2% in 2020. Right now, he leads in the polls by about 2 to 3 points. A lot of that is because of Muslim support dwindling against Joe Biden, simply due to his support and backing of Israel in the war in Gaza against Hamas. A lot of Muslims, especially a lot of Somalis, live in Minnesota. That's where Ilhan Omar is from. Her district is, I believe, majority Somali. Very much upset with President Biden on his current stance in Israel. You see people like Rashida Tlaib, who's from Michigan, and you're going to see how I characterize Michigan, very much amping up that rhetoric against Joe Biden, very upset with him on his position in the Middle East. And that's going to affect Joe Biden in a lot of these Rust Belt states, specifically Minnesota and Michigan. If it wasn't going on in Israel, if there was no conflict going on in Israel, I very likely could see Minnesota being a likely Biden state. But right now, it's a lean Biden state. And if Biden is not able to end that war before the election day on November 5th, it will be much more closer than otherwise. Another state, Maine at large. Right now, we have a Pan-Atlantic poll that showed Trump up 6. Now, that very likely could be an outlying poll, but Pan-Atlantic back in 2020 overestimated Joe Biden. It had Biden winning by more than he actually did win at Maine at large. So very skeptical out of that area right now. Biden typically is more popular in the Northeast. Of course, I'm going to give him Maine at large at this point in time, but it is seemingly going to be a little bit closer than what we have previously expected. And it will be competitive, and I do see a scenario where Trump could win it. At this point in time, I believe that Biden narrowly holds on. Another one, Nebraska's second congressional district. Joe Biden is pretty popular in the suburbs in Nebraska. I don't think that Nebraska's legislature is going to be able to overturn uh, their their way of counting their electoral college. They do it by district, as opposed to at large. And I do think that Biden's going to end up holding on to Nebraska second, getting him to 226 electoral votes. Let's head into our lean Trump states. Lean Trump. The state of North Carolina is the first state that's going to lean in favor of Donald Trump, as well as the state of Georgia will lean in favor of Donald Trump, as well as the state of Wisconsin will lean in favor of Trump, and the state of Nevada, getting Donald Trump to 267 electoral votes. All of those states right now will lean in favor of Donald Trump. We see a lot of polling out of North Carolina that has Trump up over 5 points. Now, I don't believe that it's the same thing with Georgia, same thing with Nevada. I don't believe that Donald Trump is going to win these states by over 5 points, but compared to previous elections, and you have to compare the polling data from previous elections, previous general elections, when Trump and Biden simply were on the ballot together, and Trump and Clinton, North Carolina was much closer. I believe that Biden was leading in North Carolina for a large amount of time, heading up until the actual election date. Trump eventually took the lead in the polling data in North Carolina in the aggregate. But we've never seen Trump with such a big lead, such a commanding lead this far out from an election cycle. North Carolina, I believe, is pretty shored up for Donald Trump. He won it in 2020, even it bucked the trend really against a lot of the other states that flipped back in favor of Biden. North Carolina also went in favor of Mitt Romney back in 2012 when Obama won Florida and Ohio and Iowa and North Carolina. While it is a toss-up state, and it always is relatively close, it does slightly have a higher proportion of Republicans and Democrats. Georgia, we saw Brian Kemp win Georgia in the governor race against Stacey Abrams by over 7 points back in 2022. Now, they did lose the Senate race, but right now we're seeing a lot of polling data out of Georgia with Donald Trump in the lead by over 5 points. I do believe at the end of the day, Trump will flip that state back, as well as the state of Nevada. This will be the first time he actually does win the state of Nevada, in my opinion. Not my opinion. In reality, Hillary Clinton won it in 2016 and Joe Biden won it in 2020. But looking back, they did elect a Republican governor in Joe Lombardo in 2022. And what we're seeing out of the state of Nevada is that the Reid machine is kind of dying down. Harry Reid, the former senator from Nevada, the former Senate Majority Leader and Senate Democrat leader, has passed away since, I believe, 2021. Since then, Republicans have been able to take a pretty good hold of the state of Nevada. A lot of Hispanics are shifting against Joe Biden. We see that in the polling data. 20-point shift. Now, Democrats still have a majority of Hispanic support, but it's a much thinner majority than what they had previously had back in previous elections. That is a significant shift in Hispanic support. Wisconsin, heading over to Wisconsin. This has been the most pro-Trump state out of all of the Rust Belt states previously. Now, Donald Trump won it by 0.7% back in 2016. That was the biggest margin out of all of the Rust Belt states against Hillary Clinton that Donald Trump won. In 2020, Biden won it by 0.7%. Biden won Michigan by 2.8%, and Pennsylvania by 1.2%. So Wisconsin has been most heavily in favor of Trump. Right now, looking at the election, looking at the polls, Trump is in a better position to win the election than ever. So I'm going to have Wisconsin going in favor of Trump for that, just that reason alone. But also, when you look at the historical polling data out of Wisconsin, it has underestimated Donald Trump by such significant margins. You could even make an argument it could go in the likely category. Now, I don't think it's going to be that much in favor of Trump, but it has underestimated Trump by over 5 percentage points in the polls, both election cycles. Hillary Clinton led Wisconsin by over 6 points in 2016. Trump ended up winning it by less than a point. In 2020, Biden led in Wisconsin in the polling data by over 6 points. Now, in 2020, he won by less than a percent, a 6-point overestimation in favor of the Democrats. I don't think that right now Trump leads in Wisconsin by 0.1%. But if you account for that overestimation, he'd win by a likely margin. I don't think that's going to happen. But right now, given all of that, he will, in my opinion, win the state of Wisconsin. I don't know. I obviously have Tammy Baldwin winning the Senate race there. So you're going to have kind of a mismatch of one Republican being elected president in Wisconsin while a Democrat going to the Senate from Wisconsin. Now let's head into our tilt Biden states. There's going to be only one tilt Biden state in my mind. That's the state of Arizona. Will tilt in favor of Joe Biden, in my opinion, right now, simply because of a lot of the issues that are coming out of Nevada. You have Kari Lake, who seems to be a pretty bad candidate right now in not Nevada, Arizona. Um, they had a pretty favorable midterm year where Katie Hobbs won the governorship. She wasn't expected to, and Blake Masters pretty handily lost the Arizona Senate race. Right now, Trump does lead by a pretty good margin in the polls. But I think that as we head closer to the election, Arizona is going to kind of shift back in favor of Biden. Also, given a lot of the uh, court cases with abortion coming out of Arizona and the Arizona Republican legislature, the Arizona Republican Party, seemingly in a bit of shambles over there. Maricopa County, I think, is actually going to go more in favor of Biden this time around. So I think Arizona does tilt in favor of Biden, but it's going to be a very close race nonetheless. So then the final two states, the state of Michigan and the state of Pennsylvania, will tilt in favor of Donald Trump. That gets Donald Trump to 301 electoral votes. Michigan, along with that Muslim vote, will shift away from Biden. Trump will end up winning it there. Pennsylvania, we're seeing a lot of good polling data out of the state of Pennsylvania in favor of Donald Trump. You could even make the argument that Pennsylvania will be a lean Trump state. I'm going to have it tilt, but I do believe that the margins are going to be close. 301, 237. Donald Trump wins the presidency against Joe Biden. He's reelected president of the United States for the second time in history that a president has been reelected to a non-consecutive term. It hasn't been seen since Grover Cleveland over 100 years ago. Donald Trump wins an incredible political comeback against Joe Biden, going on to become the 47th president of the United States of America. Many people counted Donald Trump out after January 6th, after the impeachment. They said there's no way that this man could, let alone become president, let alone be the nominee of the Republican Party. Donald Trump defies history, defies the predictions, and wins re-election as president. Right now, that is what we see in the polling data. Right now, that is what the betting markets are saying. And right now, that is what my opinion is and the opinions of many, many people in election analysis are. Donald Trump wins the presidency. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Comment below your thoughts on my election prediction. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to be coming out with a lot more videos as the days count down to November the 5th of this year. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Have a great day.